Okay, here I'm going to be doing a hack trick game in real time with a friend. That way I can do this tutorial. In hack trick, there are 3 of all card numbers going 3 5s, 3 4s, 3 3s, 3 2s, 3 1s, and 3 zeros in the deck. The way you place your little markers on the board looks a lot like tic-tac-toe, that the win condition is a diagonal, a vertical, a horizontal. But the way you place your marker is by playing a card onto a card that's currently in the middle. So if I were to play this 1, I would add the previous 2. 5 plus 1 would put me a marker on 6. If I played my 3 instead, I'd have 5 plus 3 is 8, and I'd put a marker here. It's the only way to place a marker. Now, this allows you to place markers the same place as your opponent. If you do, you remove their markers on the board and collect them. You'll have options to use those later. I'm going to kind of skip over this sum in the box right now. I'll come back to that in a few minutes. So your maximum hand size is 4. I drew on my first turn, so it won't let me draw again. I've already got 4. I have sort of a no-brainer for my playment. If I play a 1, it's not about going to the 6 for me. It's about the fact that no matter what card he plays, I can just play a 1 and go right back there. So he collected my marker by playing a double 5. But now I can just play my double 1 and take his marker right back. Sometimes it can be dangerous to get myself down to 2 cards right away, since he can draw up to 4 and have a lot of options ahead of me. I'm not particularly worried about it for the beginning of the round. Ooh, now I'm worried about it. He used that marker. I told you I would tell you about it later. When you collect a marker from someone, at the beginning of your turn, you have this option, Ask. You can only use this option if you have one of your opponent's markers that you've collected from the board. So I could do that. When you ask, it forces your opponent to sum up all the numbers of the cards in their hand and tell it to you. So for example, at the beginning of the game, everyone gets 1 free ask. It told him my sum was 5, because I had a 1, 3, and a 1. It told me his sum was 11, which isn't surprising since he had a 5 in there. So I know that the 2 cards in his hand he started with, besides the 5, add to 6. I know they're not double 3s, because I have a 3 and 1 3 is out of play, but I don't know if it's a 4 and a 2. I know it's not a 5 and a 1, since there are all 3 1s out here. Actually, it means I do know it's a 4 and a 2. He definitely has a 4 and a 2 in his hand, so I could ask him, find out what the rest of his sum is, and I would know now. But I'm just going to draw cards so I have more options for right now. But I already know he has a 4 and a 2 in his hand. So let me open my little file back up here. I'm going to show you a way to do a little better at this game, keeping track. I do this normally with tokens in front of me. I know where all of the 1s are. I know where 2 of the 5s are. I know he has a 4 and a 2 in hand, because it's the only possibility that summed to his original card or hand size. I have a 0. There's a 3 out of play and a 3 in my hand. I can see 2 of the 2s. Well, now I can, because he just played the 2. So I now know, the only thing I know about his hand is there's at least a 4 in it. I could play my 1 and take that back, but I'm just going to sit on this whole information gathering thing for right now, and I'm going to draw another card. And I drew the last 5. So, of the 3 cards in hands, he could have more 4s, 3s, 2s, or 0s. He cannot have a 1. He cannot have a 5. Using this process of elimination as the deck gets smaller and smaller allows me to force him into a bad situation. At the end of my next turn, I'm going to show you the part I've been kind of skipping over. So now he's played his 4 that I knew he had. I cannot take the 6 back, I cannot take the 3 back, so I can't claim any of his tokens no matter what I do. But I might be able to force him into a bad position, so I'm going to ask him what he has in his hand. He has a total of 3. Since there are no 1s left in play, the only way he can have a total of 3 is if he has a 3 and a 0 in hand. That is his entire hand. So if I play my 0 or 3, I guess I didn't mention this yet, you can't play the same card twice. You can't play a 0 on a 0, because there isn't one on the board. Can't play a 3 on a 3, just not allowed to do doubles. So I can force him really easily. If I play a 3 and tell him to play, he will have to go here. And that wouldn't give me a lot of options, so I'm not going to do that. If I play a 0, I would go to 4, and I would force him to play a 3, going to 7. And that would allow me potentially to go back to 4. So let me think this through. If I play a 0, force him to play a 3, I could play a 1 and then force him to play a 0, and then there are 2 4s in the draw deck, and I would have the opportunity to draw first. And if I draw a 4, I would immediately be able to go 4 again and win. So let's see if I can pull off this trap I just came up with on the fly. I'm going to go ahead and use my 2x marker, so if I win with this strategy, I get double points. Now at the top here, instead of passing, it's very important right now that I hit play. Play will take one of my markers away, limit the number of turns I get in the game, but he has to play one of his cards. The only card he can play is a 3. Now keep in mind, I know 2 of the cards in the draw pile are 4s, and I know the other 2 are 2 and 0. So I have a 50% chance of my trap working outright with no chance for him to do anything about it. And he just asked for my sum because he's trying to figure out what trap I have and find out what's in the draw pile and stuff. So he plays his 3 as planned. So all he's got left is a 0. I play my 1, going back to 4, and I force him to play his 0. If I want to go ahead and update my marker here, his 3 has been played. His 0 is about to get played, nothing he can do about it. And now we get the fun part. If he's smart, he might actually force me to play right here. Well, I shouldn't say smart. It's just whether he wants to gamble on this. Because if I draw a 4, 50-50 chance, nothing he can do about it. My trap worked perfectly. I've thought my way through this entire turn, because I figured out what was in his hand and I knew what was in the draw pile. Now I play the 4. He had to draw. He had no cards. So I can put my third one on a single 1. That is the one victory condition that's different from normal tic-tac-toe. You can now win by putting 3 tokens on the same spot. Now, whoever won the previous round gets to place a card first. I typically place a card that makes it so that my sum is in the middle. My sum that it tells him is 8. There are a lot of possibilities for what an 8 could mean. Let me pull up my little marker sheet here. I'm just going to reload it back to normal. I have a 5, I have a 2. I'm going to go back to a red color. I have a 5, I have a 2, I have a 1, and I can see all of the 4s already. So those are completely out of play. His sum was 10, so he could have 2 5s and a 0. He can't have 2 3s and a 4 though, because there are no 4s left. He could have a 5, 3, that would be 8 and 2. So he either has 5, 3, 2, or he has 5, 5, 0. What about any other combination with 2s? No, because that would be back to 3. Those are the 2 possibilities for what were in his hand. They're the only possible ones. So I know he has at least 1 5. There's no way for him to have a sum of 10 without having a 5. I'm just going to draw and hold on to that information. This kind of process of elimination, doing the sums, a little bit of basic math with adding and subtracting is a big part of Hack Trick. The other part of Hack Trick that's important is which zones to control. 5 is the easiest, or not easiest, it's the most likely sum of all these cards. The average value of each card from 0 to 5 is a 2.5. So when you're adding 2 cards up, your average of 5 is most common. You could have 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 5 and 0, lots of different ways to get onto the 5. Your numbers close to it, like 4 and 6, have the next option. 7 and 3 are the next best. 8 and 2 are the next best. 1 and 9 are the best bet. Getting a 1-5-9 is really hard. The only way to get a 9 is a 5-4. The only way to get a 1 is a 1-0. Now he went to that 9 because there are no more 4s in the game. No one will ever be able to take this away from him until this gets shuffled back in. If you go through the whole deck, it will shuffle back in. I'm going to play a 1 just because I have a double. But since he played this 5, I'm almost certain he has another 5 in his hand. It's a very common trick for people to play what they have a double of. 5-5-0 becomes far more likely. But I can't discount, since he drew, that he had the 5-3-2 and drew a second 5. I just think it's very likely that his hand has another 5 in it. I don't know that, though. Now, I get the option to play, leaving him a huge hand advantage on me, or I can just draw. As it is, moving other places isn't very important to me. I'm just going to draw, keep plenty of options. Now that I have all of the 1s, I should record that on my sheet. There are no more 1s left in the game. And I should mark out one of the 5s, since he did play 1. Hey, he played a 0. This makes the 5-0 I was talking about, thinking he probably had, far more likely. But it could again have been the 3-2-0, and he didn't actually have the double 5 I was predicting. But right now I'm predicting his hand has a 5 in it. And I don't really know anything else other than he should have a 5 in his hand. Now that was kind of a good move for him, actually. It put him up here. I'm just going to take it back so I have the ability to ask what he has. It's very possible he has another 0 now, that he had the 5-0 original and had drawn a 0. He did. So, double 0. The only way he could have had that is if he had this as his start hand. So this was not his start hand. He has played this 5 and this 0, but he still has a 5 left. I don't know what his other draw card is. Nothing in the sums can help me with that because I've accounted for his original start hand and I haven't used an ask. I'm not going to. I'm just going to collect another one of his tokens and pass it on back to him. I do know he has a 5 in his hand, so if I had a 3 in hand, I would have forced him to play, hoping that he would play the 5, allowing me to get to the 8. He might have had a 3 in hand, actually, but I don't know that. This could let me go to 3, this could let me go to 6. I'm just going to draw. Now let me record what I took was another 2. He's up to 4 cards now. I could ask him what he has. If he has a 2, a 5, and 2 3s, would I be able to trap him? No, you could just go to the 7. I can't trap him with my current hand, so I'm going to draw one more card. I have a 0. So now I know he does not have a 0. He played a 3. I could ask him and know exactly what's in his hand and what's in this discard pile if I use one of my asks right now. Let me see if there's any advantage to doing that. Not really, because I have a 5, he played a 3. Doesn't matter what's in his hand, I'm just going to play it. Now I'm going to use the 2x just to show you what happens. The 2x has to have been played prior to making a solution. So the game's going to say something along the lines of, I align 3 markers and won this round. I did not have a double marker there prior to that. If I had played a double on my 1 maybe, then that would have given me 2 points. Again, I'm going to pick a card towards the middle so that my sum is a little bit more middling. I could have actually got rid of the 0, played a low card, and had a sum of 8. That might have been better than a sum of 5. But he also has a sum of 5. Let me pull this out and record my cards. You can do this with a little electronic notepad or a notepad in person. I use little tokens on my board or on my table in front of me when I play this game in tournaments. 2 and 4. So that's what I have accounted for right now. His 5 could be 5, 0, 0. He could have 4, 1, 0, just like I do. There's another 4 and another 1 unaccounted for. He could have 3, 2, 0. But you'll notice, no matter what he has for a sum of 5, he has to have a 0 in hand. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Now I'm just going to draw up. And see what he does. He plays a 1, making this the most likely start hand that he has, or he drew a 1. No real way for me to tell. Now I have to play something. What do I want to play? I'm going to play a 5 since it's the card I drew. That'll give him the least information about my start hand. He could think that I started, since he had the exact same sum, he could think that I had the 5, 0, 0 start, and that he had the other 0. He played a double 1. The only way he could have played a double 1 is if he had drawn 1 here and it was this start hand. So currently in his hand is a 4 and a 0. And all of the ones have been played now, except for the one I'm holding. But all of the ones are accounted for. Let me see here. So if I play a 4, there's definitely no way he can go to a 5. If I play a 0, he's got a 4 and a 0 in hand. So actually, I can force him to play right now. If I go to 4, if I play my 4 and force him to play, the only thing he could play is a 0. Which would only let me play a 1, which isn't particularly helpful. I could play a 0, force him to play a 4, which isn't particularly helpful. Any which way it goes, I would just be forcing him to play here. And I can't play my other off card. So if I do nothing, however, he can just play that 4 I know he has, and he'll have a 5 and make a nice line. So I have to play something. It's either a 0 or a 4. So I'm either going to 5 or I'm going to 1. The 1 is less likely to be part of the solution. So I'm going to go ahead and play my 4. But I'm not going to force him to play. In fact, since I know he has a 0 in hand, he could easily play a 0 going to 4 and force me to play, which would force me to play a 1. And then he'd have a 0 and he'd be able to threaten a lot of different ways getting my hand out. I'm going to use the guard option. He is not able on his next turn to force me to play. I will be allowed to draw if I want to next turn. Chances are he's going to draw a card. I wish I had an ask token so I could figure out what he just picked up. It's probably a 2, 3, or a 5 maybe. I don't know why one of the 5s isn't crossed off. Must have forgot to do that with my own draw of it. I'm going to draw. I got a 3. He's probably going to draw again, just getting more and more options. He's trying to draw a 1 right now so he can win, but he doesn't know it's in my hand. Let me think through if I can solve anything here. Now, I don't know what he drew, so playing is not going to do me any good. I know he can't win with his next move, and I'm just going to draw the max. So all the 3s are accounted for. I know he doesn't have a 3. He has a 0, 4, and 2 other cards. 5, 2, and 0. He could have a lot of options. So there's a 5 accounted for now. I still don't have an ask. He has a pretty good chance of having a 2, a low chance of having the other 5. If I go to 0 and he has a 5, he would be able to take this back. But if I do play a 0 and force him to play, if he played a 4, I have a 1. He wouldn't be allowed to play a 0. If he plays a 2, I have a 3. So as long as he doesn't have the last 5, and there are 3 unknown cards in the deck and 2 unknown cards in his hand. Actually, there's only 1 unknown card in his hand. I feel really good that either he's got 004, 420, but not 450. I'm going to try to go ahead and trap him right now. And I'm going to use a double token because if I'm wrong, he's going to win. I play the 0, and I can't undo right now because I just realized if he plays a 2, that actually completes his line. And if he has a 5, that completes his line. The only way I'm going to win this is if he has a 0, and there's only 1 of those. So I was just talking about the whole 3 cards here versus 1 in his hand. I have a 1 in 4 chance of winning this because I thought through it too quickly. But let's force him to play anyway, all or nothing. Either he's got the 2 and wins it, he's got the 5 and wins it, or he drew a 0 and I automatically win this hand. So does he have the 2, the 3, or the... he does. So he wins that, but no double point for him, just 1 point. I threw the round away because I didn't think through where the placement would put him. I was like, okay, if he plays a 2, I'd be able to go to 5 again. Yay, excitement. Oh, too late. Messed it up. Let me open a fresh copy of this. Gonna go back to red again. So I have 2 2s available, visible. I have a 4 and a 3 visible, the 0 that was already played, the 0 and the 5 that are out of the game. And his sum of the cards was a 6. So a 6 could be a 5, 1, 0. It could be a 4, 2, 0. It could be a 4, 1, 1. It could be a 3, 3, 0, or a 3, 2, 1. Lots of options for that sum. Doesn't tell me much of anything. Safe bet for me would be to play a 2, but I don't like to fall into that trap repeatedly, so I'm going to go ahead and play a 4. Okay, so what he played was a 3. I don't know if it was part of his start hand or not. I know it is out of play now. So this and this are slightly more likely to be his start hand. Let me see if there's anything I can do with that. If I play a 2 and go to 5, I'd be hoping to get to 6. And I can't get there off of anything that I have in hand with what I think he might have. So I'm just going to draw up and see what happens. Most likely he's also going to draw, giving me even less information about where we're at in the game. So let's see what he does. Does he draw or does he try to risk a play? He's going to go ahead and take 4 back from me. which is fine with me because I can take it back myself and get a token from him. And that's really important to me, just to have a red token, and I have to play regardless. Might as well be this one. Now I can ask his sum at any time, get a little bit more information about what's going on. He just did the same thing, figuring out what I've got. Now, given my personal start hand, he actually could know exactly what I've got if he's counting carefully. I'm not entirely convinced he is, because he's admitted to me this isn't his best game, even though he definitely knows what he's doing. Let's see here. Do I want to draw, or do I want to leave it on the table? What haven't I updated? I have a 1, he's played a 1. I can only see 2 3s. I can only see the 1 5, the 1 4, 2 2s, 2 0s. So I'm still left in this situation. He has played 2 3s himself, right? No, the last 3 was me playing. I'm just going to draw. Keep giving me more options for what I'm going to be able to play in the future round. I drew a 5. He drew again. I could ask him what he's got, and with 3 cards out of play, I might be able to figure it out. I feel like it's likely he has one of these 2 start hands. But he didn't play another 1. Was the 1 his? It was. Right? He played the 1? Yeah, he played a 1 and he also played a 3. So it looks really likely that he's got a 2 in hand. I'm not going to circle it on here officially, but it's very likely he's got a 2 in hand. If I were to play this 2, that would limit what I need to ask him what he's got. Let's see what we've got to work with. 11. So he's got 4 cards that sum to 11. He's probably got a 5, a 4, 2, and a 0. If he has 5, 4, 2, 0, that would sum to 11 and would match what I assume about his hand to be true. What other combinations could he have? He could have a 4, 4, 2, 1. That would also match what I assume to be true about his hand, and I'm not positive about. Are there any combinations I could do without a 2? What about 4, 4, 3, 0? 4, 4, 3, 0. That's also a possibility. So these are basically my 3 possibilities, and I feel like this one is the... Actually, these 2 have equal likelihood, because I can see 2 zeros and 2 1s. I don't know enough about his hand, other than he's certainly got a 4. This process of elimination, where I thought he had a 2, but he certainly has a 4, probably has a 2. I might be able to use that to my advantage. If I can get him to play a 2, that'd be great. If I can force him to play something else. If I can force him to play a 4, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to play this 2 and force him to play. That was a mistake. I just saw the whole I want him to play. He's got 4 cards in hand. He has to play regardless. So that's something you never want to do. You just gave up one of your markers for nothing. I didn't really tell you yet, but you can end the game by running out of markers. If I place my last marker, playing a card, placing a marker on the board, and I don't win with that play, I automatically lose. Whoever runs out first, runs out first. Now, since I hit force him to play, he seems to think I've won. He should have enough information to know what's in my hand from his ask earlier. So it's very possible he does understand why he's lost. And he does. He's got a 1. So I think this was his hand. I forced him not to be able to play a 2. If he plays a 4, I play a 2 and win. If he plays a 1, I play a 5 and win. That's why he knew it was good game. So that is Hack Trick. That is the way that you put your markers on the board, how you can think through it, and how you can try to use math to figure out what your opponent has, force him into traps, help yourself avoid traps by thinking of his perspective. Take a card out of your hand and then think of it from his perspective. If I play in a tournament, I normally take 2 of these open, 2 boards. One of the information my opponent knows, one of the information I know. And let's go ahead and tell this. I can invite you to So you can play in a tournament with under 100 ELO, you just have to be invited by the tournament director. Anyone who watches these and is interested in playing in a tournament like Hack Trick or Nautilus, China Gold, any of those kind of things, just let me know and I'll invite you to the tournaments. It's not a problem. Well, I hope you found this instructional, and have a good night. This was turtler7 playing Hack Trick.